Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Sun Tzu said, "Now, the strategist who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple before the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few calculations beforehand. Thus, do many calculations lead to victory, and few calculations to defeat? How much more no calculation at all?" Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, and the master of the deceptive arts. And today, I wanted us to discuss the subject of purpose, specifically the purpose of intimacy for a vasectomite or a man who's had a vasectomy. Now, what brought this on was that I felt an interference in my solitude. And upon feeling this, I reached out into the digital, interconnected consciousness of humanity, what you may call the internet. And while I was in there, I saw it. There it was, a correspondence from an old counterpart. Now, you know how I feel about old counterparts. They are like old tax files. You put them in the cabinet for 3 years, and you cut them loose. But nonetheless, there it was. Now, this counterpart was not from a relationship, right? Or rather from my romance wars, not at all. We were never involved in that type of conflict. Instead, she was from my post-romance wars days, right? After the relationship, but before the vasectomy, right? So the contents of the message were quite frankly, they were vague and inconsequential. Something about an enduring, never-ending love, or was it unending love? I can't remember, right? But history is knowledge, right? All knowledge is history. And based on our historical patterns, those patterns dictate that these interactions always end up and lead to intimacy. Now, I'm not claiming that this was a healthy set of circumstances. I'm just describing that there was, in fact, a pattern. But I haven't responded to the correspondence. And in fact, I'm not even sure I will. I probably will, right? Everyone responds to messages. This is the nature of relationships, and this is why you have to be careful of your own counterpart, right? So here I am pondering a message that I received out of the blue, and I'm certain that if your counterpart receives a message out of the blue or a correspondence out of the blue, they will ponder that correspondence also. So just bear that in mind, right? But maybe I'll respond with vagaries of my own, and we'll see. What is important to note here is that this counterpart, the one with the enduring love, has no idea about my vasectomy. She has absolutely no idea about my vasectomy, right? She knew me before I ascended to my position as the Ancient One. She knows me as a devout bachelor, but she has no idea that she is now speaking to the Bachelor Supreme. Not only that, she has no idea that we are having these discussions on a nearly daily basis, right? So, so I'm keeping these details about myself and about the counterpart true, but vague, right? So this is the situation that I'm in, right? And I'm looking at her correspondence, and I think to myself about the intimate pattern which we had developed, and I can't help but remember that it was developed through relative hardship. There was some doing in getting this rhythm, this pattern, right, into our song and dance, right? And it was those hardships, right? Just the memory of those hardships that started me thinking, what is the point of all that now? Now that I'm a vasectomite, right? Now that I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, what would really be the purpose of this? I mean, beyond theater and a social interaction, right? What would really be the purpose? Our past interactions weren't simple, they weren't easy, they weren't direct. You got the sense, and I know you're getting it also, that something untoward was happening. And perhaps this is what was causing the interference in my solitude, right? This is what was causing the ripples in the consciousness, you know, that we experience the bachelor life through, right? And it was pleasurable. It was interesting, right? But it took some doing for the familiarity and the comfort to develop. And with that familiarity and comfort, so did the intimate relations. Knowing the struggle of just organizing the time, the place, the space to interact, I ask myself if all that is even worth the effort. I mean, what are we talking about? 15 minutes of activity when I have to, after that, I have to entertain her, amuse her, maintain her, enlighten her, right? Keep her interested, and all the effort, right? Or better yet, is she the one who's going to be maintaining me or maintaining my interest, right? Either way that you look at it, it's a headache, right? It's a headache, and I don't know what to do with that message. I mean, I do know what to do, but I don't know if I want to, right? I do have the impulse, but despite that impulse, which by the way doesn't go away, and the obvious benefit of a climax, right? Does the end, as Niccolo Machiavelli once alluded to, does the end really justify the means, right? Is the outcome worth the effort? Ultimately, I ended up in the void, right? Now the void is the space in the bachelor life where in truth, the unknown is unknown. It exists at the edge of common experiences and creates a vacuum of which infinite possibility is explored. For me now, intimacy is not actually rooted in purpose, right? In the same way that the benders and the counterparts and general society is rooted in that purpose, right? The purpose of raising kids, paying bills, being a father, being a mentor, being a leader, being a provider, and a protector. I have no biological imperative of that kind. My biological imperative really ends at self preservation, keeping myself growing, keeping myself healthy, keeping myself financially, economically sustainable. I'm not the one who's going to be raising kids or paying her bills, other than that which I need to make our interaction run smoothly and seamlessly. So, am I paying for the dinner? Am I paying for the drinks? Am I paying for the Uber, the car, the transport? Of course I am. It's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. Paying those things is way better than paying her rent and keeping her eternally sustained. But after that interaction, let's say we pull all this off. Let's say we get the space, we get the time, we get the place, the music, whatever is happening. I'm happy to provide drinks, even though I don't drink myself. I do indeed drink non alcoholic beer. So keep that in mind. Most people can't tell the difference. They can't tell the difference in look. They can't tell the difference in taste, but they can tell the difference in effect. But if you're drinking non alcoholic beer, I recommend Heineken. You can just go ahead and drink it. Most people won't be able to tell the difference, even if they take a sip themselves. But I'll be doing that. I absolutely do that. And I love nothing more than to watch you get wasted. Utterly finished, rolling on the floor drunk, thinking that I'm doing the same thing. I'm not doing that. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to imbibe to the point where I can't see, hear, or act or defend myself. But I would happily allow you to do it. Happily, happily. But let's say that we pull all that off, right? What is the point? What is the point? Right? Do I then return to the void after the interaction? Right? Or do I imbue myself with a purpose that encourages me to keep having that interaction, that intimacy again and again and again? And in truth, I don't have that purpose. I don't have that inclination. And I should. And I should, right? Knowing that a bachelor's purpose is decided by the bachelor himself. I searched all day within my solitude, within myself, within my mind, for a purpose to interact with the counterpart, with the former counterpart, right? Not just intimacy, but socially, in a way that we can have meaningful conversation, at least. If you think I'm the type of person who can have a meaningful conversation, indeed, I do talk about the same topic every day. So I don't know how meaningful that conversation is going to be. By the way, get a vasectomy, right? Don't be ridiculous. Don't go out into this world without a vasectomy. You're going to ruin your life, right? You're going to absolutely ruin your life. And it's because of this vasectomy. It's because of this vasectomy that I found really, really no purpose. A real purpose to say I'm going to interact with the counterpart. And at the end of that interaction, I will be a better man because of A, B, and C. And I don't have A, B, and C or X, Y, Z. I have nothing. So instead, I thought, let me seek to the wisdom of others, as I often do. I told you very much I am a thief of ideas. I will happily steal every idea that you've ever had to make money and try it. Even if it fails, I'll try it out anyway, just to see if, there's something to it. So I searched the internet, trying to find some good information, trying to come up with some type of benefit. And I did find a lot of good information. But was it good enough to make me text back the counterpart, to make plans and put on my suit? Of that, I have to be honest, I'm still undecided. I'll probably text back just out of curiosity, because these things do make you curious. So you say something and then they have to say something back. But once you respond, the communication is now open. And I'm not really an open communication kind of guy. I don't know if I'll start this up just to shut it down again later, which I probably will do. I'm really a creature of habit, and I pride myself on being predictable. You think I'm going to come up here and talk about current affairs? You honestly think I'm going to spend any more time than what I'm about to talking about the current trial and the verdict? Could care less. Get a vasectomy, man. Right? Get a vasectomy and stop worrying about current affairs. You don't even know those people. Right? Now, back to the intimacy. Back to the intimacy and the vasectomy. The issue is really that as a man and as a human being, I do enjoy intimacy. I enjoy it as much as the next man. But doing it without a purpose has its limit, right? You really have to search for motivation, right? You really have to look hard for motivation. And this is what I did in, you know, finding today's article. I was really looking for a purpose and a motivation to contacting the counterpart, right? And seeing where this goes, right? And in truth, without that purpose, they and that thing where I'm like, what I'm really looking for is a win, where I can say, after this intimate activity, I have this, I feel this, I'm taking away an experience that I'll carry with me, that is excitement, desire, whatever it is, right? For me to want to then do it again. And I have none. I really have none, right? Other than that, intimacy is intimacy in itself. Beyond the act itself, just the idea that, okay, we're done now, and there they still are. There they still are. Maybe I should talk about current affairs. Maybe I should talk about a cat playing a piano. Maybe I should make a joke. Oh, they like jokes, don't they? I should make a joke. I should read up on some jokes. Maybe I'll make myself funny. But let's move the show forward, right? Let's move the video forward. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look into this article. And today's article is the 10 health benefits of regular sex. This is me trying to find the motivation to contact the counterpart with meaning. I don't want to go out there and be half-hearted. And I can be very blatant in my ways and in my words. I can really be right to the point and say, you know what, you're getting too old and I'm bored. I'm going home. I'm really that kind of person. It can be quite rude and endearing at times, but mostly rude, right? But as I was reading the article from today, I was comparing these benefits to other activities like exercise. And I thought to myself, you know what? Can't I get the same benefit from exercise? And in the most part, you can. You can, right? But let's look at it together. Maybe we'll see something that I missed, and maybe I'll find a point here that will make me say, aha, let me send the counterpart back and inquire about her never ending, enduring love. And who knows? Who knows? I might get a whiff of that never ending, enduring love. When it comes to sex, the article reads, most of us already feel there are benefits that regular intimacy brings. However, you may be surprised at the range of benefits of healthy sex, from reducing stress to lowering your risk of cancer or heart problems. Honestly, you can get the same benefits from jogging 30 minutes a day. Anyway, according to recent studies, regular sex can provide many boosts to your well being, as can exercise. This is because sex is just like any other physical activity, like exercise, and the benefits it provides can eventually increase your lifespan. Here's a breakdown of the top benefits of regular sexual intercourse. You know, while we're here, I had considered on my rest day of exercise to include intimacy as part of that day, just to continue the burning of calories, right? Just to continue my regular healthy type of lifestyle that I'm trying to lead. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm moving in the right direction, right? And so, I think, I don't know, if it is, in fact, like every other exercise, why not include it as a form of exercise? This is what this article alludes to here. Now, if you are a knee bender who does not have a vasectomy and you try to make intimacy your exercise, you're going to ruin your life. You will absolutely ruin your life. Benefit number one, improves immunity. Really. Participating in sex 1 or 2 times per week helps boost the immune system, according to research published in psychological reports. They don't actually name the report. I think they do in the end. They found that people who had sex once or twice per week had a 30% increase in IgA, an antibody that shows how tough our immune system is compared to those who don't. So it makes you healthier. It makes you more resistant against diseases. That's what a boosted immune system means. It means that your body is more tolerant and more resistant against disease. It doesn't actually mean that like your organs are better. It just means that you won't get sick as quickly as people with a lower immune system. However, Clifford Lowell, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, from the University of California, San Francisco, also said that people who are sexually active are exposed to more infectious agents than individuals who are not sexually active. This is the point. So, on the one hand, it improves your immune system, but on the other hand, you're exposing yourself to what he calls more infectious agents, diseases. Luckily, the immune system responds to these infectious agents by producing more IgA. So, the more you are exposed to infectious agents, the more IgA, so the more antibodies, the more antibodies you build to fight off the things that you're putting into your body. That's ironic, isn't it? So you make yourself sick and then you produce the things that help you prevent you from being sick. And I guess it just prevents you from being sick later on again, which could help protect against colds and flus. So being sexually intimate can help you prevent a cold and a flu if you have one. The irony is that with colds and flus, if you have a cold and flu and you engage in intimacy to prevent that cold and flu, aren't you then spreading the cold and flu? Ironically, I don't know. There's a contradiction there. Number two, cardiovascular benefits. Now, exercise will give you the same benefits, right? Physical activities that exercise the heart are good for your health, and ideally, you should exercise 3 to 5 times a week to keep your heart healthy. I recommend every day for maximum benefits, or at least 6 times a week. You want to have most of your days, say 5 or 6 days, full of at least 30 to 1 hour of exercise. I'm saying this and not just as as a practitioner of it. I'm a true believer. I've seen the benefits of it, of exercising 30 minutes to 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour actually is ideal. And you burn off the calories like in no time. You know, if you make exercise part of your everyday regular life, you burn those calories right off. But if you're trying to take breaks in between, if you're doing 3 days on, 2 days off, 3 days on, 2 days off, that kind of thing, eventually those 2 days are just gonna be 2 days of tremendous eating. So you're going to eat on your exercise day and you're going to eat more on your non-exercise days. And that's just going to slow you down. Just make it part of your regular life and you should be fine, right? Luckily, it continues. This includes sex as well as working out. So there they call sex and exercise again. So it's not me. Just like an intense workout, being sexually aroused increases heart rate with the number of beats per minute peaking during orgasm. This is known. Men in particular have been shown to get benefits from sex. A study published in the American Journal of Cardiology suggested that men in their 50s who have sex at least twice per week have a reduced risk of heart disease compared with men who have sex less frequency. Now, I have to ask myself, is this compared to men who exercise every day? So, do those 1 or 2 intimate encounters weekly, would those be comparable to regular exercise? Is the benefit exactly the same? Who can say? Who can say? I think exercise probably benefits you more in earnest. But if this is an addition to exercise, I can see how it can also be equally beneficial. 3, lower blood pressure. Regular sex can also lower blood pressure, assuming that your blood pressure is high, which mine is not because of regular exercise, especially for women. Women between 57 and 85 years old who took part in a recent study were less likely to have hypertension, high blood pressure. Not only does high blood pressure increase the risk of heart attack and stroke, but it also can lead to erectile dysfunction and lower libido. Again, the people that they're talking about here are at or after retirement age. So you're talking about people at 60, 70, and 80. blood pressure is really associated with older people. It's not many 20-year-olds that have high blood pressure, right? Diabetes is one thing, but blood pressure not so much, and not very common in younger people. Pain relief is number four. Now, I mean, I don't know. I don't know about all that. If I have pain, do I really want to be intimate? Maybe I do. If I'm a bit of a, anarchist, I don't know. Neurologists have found that sexual activity can relieve head pain associated with a migraine or cluster headache in some people. I'm not one of those people. I find that a simple headache tablet does it for me. I don't find that as soon as I have a headache, I'm like, let me get intimate. I've never had that inclination. We continue. Despite a headache often being an excuse for not having sex. Right. I mean, headaches, you don't really feel like you're in the mood when you have a headache. I don't know. I can understand why somebody would say, I have a headache, I am not in the mood. Understanding that afterwards it might go away, or it might be gone, or it might just be worse. There's really no way of saying. The research conducted in Germany showed that 60% of individuals with migraines reported an improvement in pain after sexual activity, but not so much before. In addition, 37% of people with a cluster headache reported an improvement after having sexual intercourse. Maybe it's a distraction type of thing, like relocating pain. If you have a pain in your leg and somebody punches you in the nose, suddenly you don't feel the pain in the leg anymore, right? So it's the same here. If you have a headache and somebody initiates intimacy, suddenly you're not thinking about the headache anymore. Sex can trigger the release of endorphins, the body's natural painkiller, which can be very powerful or not effective at all, depending on the extent of the pain. In other research published in Pain, women were found to experience reduced pain sensitivity and had an increased pain tolerance threshold when experiencing pleasure through vaginal self stimulation. So, if you're involved in an intimate moment of self gratification, it might take away your headache. I can see that, but I don't know how including another person can achieve the same thing. But the the science, I suppose you could call it science, demonstrates the percentages that it might or might not help with headaches and those kinds of things. Number five, reduces the risk of prostate cancer. So do intimate acts of self gratification. It is said that women who frequently ejaculate could be protected against prostate cancer, which is the most common cancer among men. I beg your pardon. I'm going to read that again. It is said that men who frequently ejaculate could be protected against cancer, which is the most common cancer among men in the United States. So men in the United States aren't being intimate to the extent that they're developing cancer. Tragic. Research led by Michael Leedsman, again, forgive me for mispronouncing your name, Mr. Leedsman, from the National Cancer Institute discovered that men who ejaculated 21 times per month or more, I'm going to go with the more, and or more were a third less likely to develop prostate cancer than men who ejaculated between 4 and 7 times per month, which is the regular amount of intimacy that men get, 4 to 7 times a month. Some say 8, but this is on the extreme end. Nobody's getting it 8 times a month. So what the article alludes to here is that you need intimacy to improve your health and avoid prostate cancer. That part, I can see the benefit into it. I really can, in terms of you know, better, deeper, more expressive climaxing, and better release, right? Better than if you were doing your intimate acts of self gratification. Improved sleep is number six, and it says around 16 million adults in the UK suffer from some kind of sleep disorder. I'm not one of those people. Do I really need to text back the counterpart and do all of that just so I can get some sleep? I'm already sleeping well. I have a problem sleeping. Do I sound sleep deprived? Not at all. If anything, I'm getting too much sleep. I'm a bachelor. I'm not a knee bender like you. Every time I have to take a nap, somebody's got a chore for me, or they're banging cupboards. Suddenly I'm taking a nap and you decide to pull out the vacuum cleaner. Where the hell did you get a vacuum cleaner? We have tiles. Why do we have a vacuum cleaner? You know what I mean? So this isn't really for me. If anything, the counterpart is probably going to keep me awake when I'm trying to take a nap. However, the article continues, this could be improved by having regular sex. I don't have this problem. This is because during sex and orgasms, a cocktail of chemicals are released in the brain, including oxytocin, dopamine, and a rush of endorphins. I mean, does this sound healthy? Dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins. It just sounds like a drug cocktail that you made for yourself. All these hormones combined leaves you feeling sleepy. In other words, they knock you out. All right, these drugs just knock you out. During sex, women have a rise in estrogen levels, which has been shown to enhance their REM cycle. In men, the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain which helps with alertness and mental activity, switches off after orgasm, which helps them sleep. So, after orgasm, which is a wonderful feeling, you're pretty much just numb. So, you can't move, you can't go anywhere, your limbs are tired, your brain is foggy, and you just pass out. Number seven, which I don't need. Number seven, relieve stress. I don't have any stress. This is the problem that I'm having. When the counterpart texted me, this was the start of my stress. I wasn't stressed until I got that damn text message or whatever it was, that correspondence through. It wasn't a text message, it was one of those online things, WhatsApp or Messenger or something like that. Frustrating. Number seven, relieve stress. Do I sound like my stress has been relieved? Stress can cause all kinds of health problems from headaches, insomnia, muscle tension, and upset stomach. I agree. To more severe conditions, including a weakened immune system and chronic depression. Didn't they say that intimacy boosts and improves the immune system? And now I'm stressed and that immune system has gone all the way down. See the irony here? You see why I don't need these problems? This is why I remain in my solitude, because I'm trying to avoid a weakened immune system and chronic depression. A study published in Biological Psychology, there's a contradiction there, I'm sure of it, found that people who have regular sex had low stress related blood pressure than individuals who had masturbated or had non coital sex. This is non penetrative sex. So it says here that if you do have intimacy, your stress levels will be lowered. I can see how that can be, because in the process of trying to get this intimacy and build up to this intimacy, this can be quite stressful. It can induce like pressure in you. So when you do finally get it, I can see how you could feel a little bit more relieved and a little bit less stressed. So it makes sense to me in a weird, twisted, backward kind of way. Number eight, boosts brain power. I don't see how that's true, but maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I would argue that reading, which is something that I do very often, I'm doing it right now, has the same effect, right? Research published in the Archives of Sexual Behavior, who came up with that name, suggests that frequent sex may improve women's memory. Maybe. Maybe they just don't forget about the encounter itself. But I don't see how having intimacy is going to make you pass your dissertation for your PhD. I can't see how that helps. Results from a word memory task found that women who had penetrative sex had better memory recognition. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. I mean, so they tested women who had intimacy with women who were virgins and found that the virgins had better memory recognition. How do those two come together? Were they testing younger women compared to older women? Right? Let me read that again. Results from a word memory test found that women who had penetrative sex had better memory recognition. Compared to who? Compared to women who hadn't had penetrative sex? This may be due to sex stimulating the hippocampus, which is part of the brain involved in learning and memory. However, they are not sure whether sex improves memory or if better memory leads to more sex. I don't think the two are correlated. I don't think that having intimacy makes you smarter. I mean, just to be fair, I know a lot of people who aren't very intelligent and they have a lot of intimacy and a lot of reckless intimacy. They'll have 3 children and still have unprotected intimacy. So, brain power, I don't know about all that. Number 9, it says, uh, increases lifespan. So apparently, having intimacy can make you live longer. Now, this I'm very interested in. Now, this is part of my self preservation. So, a study published in the BMJ, I don't know what that is, tracked the mortality of almost 1,000 men aged between 45 and 59 over 10 years. They found that risk of death was 50% lower in men who frequently had orgasms than men who didn't. 50% lower? That's a tremendous statistic. That's a tremendous statistics. So of the men, 1,000 men between age 45 and so say 45 and 60 over 10 years, that the risk of death was 50% lower on the men who had orgasms. So 500 of these guys are dying because they're not having regular intimacy. Oh, that's troubling. That's very concerning. I mean, I might call the counterpart back just because I want to live longer. You know, I don't want to die. And then apparently, intimacy can boost my self-esteem. It says here, in addition to all the physical benefits of having sex frequently, sexual intercourse can also improve hormonal health and emotional wellness, such as boosting self-esteem. So after intimacy, do I really feel better about myself? I guess as a vasectomite, this would be true. After intimacy, I do feel relatively good. As a bender and a sperm donor and a person who can inseminate a woman, I didn't always feel very good about intimacy. I would have intimacy and just be worried all day long if that I didn't get anybody pregnant or that I didn't do something that I'm gonna eventually regret. Fortunately, no babies for me, so my self-esteem is absolutely through the roof. So I might just call her back just to make myself feel good. It's a bit self-serving, isn't it? But so is a vasectomy, which you should get. Research published in social psychology and personality science. Social psychology and personality science. Who comes up with these names? Found that among college students, those who enjoyed casual sex reported higher well being and self esteem levels compared to students who did not have casual sex. Of course they did. Of course they did. You're getting laid every day. Of course you feel good about yourself compared to those young people, those students who are actually going to class and learning something. So you're spending all day having a tryst and intimacy with whoever casually. Of course you're going to feel good about yourself. But is that the same thing, though, as a boost in self-esteem? I mean, how good are you gonna feel when you drop out of university or when you fail your courses? I've never seen one university graduate say, you know what, I got laid a lot and it was worth it. I had a lot of intimacy and it was worth not getting my degree. Never heard a single person like that. Let's conclude. So the science backs it up. Sexual activity makes you feel healthier and is good for your well being. You can book a sexual health consultation for advice, sexual health consultation, and discuss the full range of sexual optimization services we provide. Okay, this is just an advert for them now. Let me just finish. Simply give us a call there. It would, if I didn't read that last little bit, it was going to eat me up all day. I'd be just sitting there all day thinking, why didn't I just read those last 5 words? It would have been so simple. And I'm glad I did it now. I'm glad I did it now. I'm sure that says something about me psychologically. Anyway, this is the article, right? These are the reasons that they give you for you to go out and be intimate, right? The 10 health benefits of regular sex. I'm still pretty much undecided, if I have to be honest with you, even after reading this. I think perhaps it's a combination of all those things that I should be looking forward to instead of looking at one great victorious point to say this is the point at which I am successful. Maybe I'll be glad that my immunity has improved, that I'm sleeping, that my blood pressure has gotten lower. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I feel like I can get exactly the same benefits from exercise without any of the headaches, without any of the frustrations, and without risking whatever it is that person might have going bad for them in their lives affecting me. But maybe I could use a boost of self esteem. What else do they list here? It's a boost of self esteem, and I could reduce the risk of prostate cancer. And in truth, I wouldn't mind finding something that would help me live a little bit longer because apparently intimacy was going to help me live longer. How much longer? They didn't really say. They just said it's a 50% chance that I don't die. Assuming I don't catch any sexually transmitted diseases or anything like that. In truth, I'm pretty much undecided. But for those vasectomites who might be in the same boat, just thinking, why would I bother wasting my time? There are some health benefits for you, and I do recommend that you do have intimacy and you do bond with people. I don't think that a vasectomy should be a reason for you to be a recluse and to be secluded if indeed you want to be social. I don't think you should be social if you want to be in your solitude, but I don't think you should be forced to live in your solitude if you have the capacity to be social and if you like being with other people. This is the benefit of having a vasectomy. You can actually be with people that you like without the risk of ruining that relationship by introducing a child. Remember the benefit, the the purpose of a vasectomy is to prevent you from having children the traditional way. You can still freeze your sperm and keep it, under lock and key and password and retina scan and fingerprint ID and a second password and a one-time pin to your phone and another one-time pin to your email, just in case, can't be too safe with these kinds of things. But if you keep your sperm locked away and you get your vasectomy, there's no reason for you to not enjoy any of the benefits listed on this list. But as for myself, I don't know if I'll call the counterpart or text them again. I'll decide. I'll take a nap and then decide. All right. I'm not a knee bender. I can nap anytime I want. And that'll be the end of the video. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for your attention. And thank you for indulging me in my moment of existentialism. I am the Bachelor Supreme. I am the Phantom Menace, he who remains. Thank you again for your attention. I will always appreciate it. Have a nice day.